I'm going to show you how you can take a single basil plant from the supermarket, such as this one here, and turn it into more basil than you can possibly eat by following a few simple steps. This way, you'll never have to buy basil from a supermarket again. Let's begin. So this is a really easy process and a pretty fun one too as well, I think. What we're essentially going to be doing is taking this plant, taking some propagations from it, putting it into water, so water propagations, letting it develop roots, and then we're going to pot it up into soil, let it grow out, and then we're going to repeat the process over and over again. So basically you have an endless supply of basil. You buy these from the supermarket and basically they're kind of set up to fail because in here, as you can see, there are tons and tons of stems coming out from the soil, and they are all individual plants, which is too crowded for this little pot. So this plant basically will end up choking itself and killing itself, which is why normally when you bring a basil home from the supermarket like this, it doesn't tend to last that long. So all you need to do is find a stem, this long one here, and at the base there'll be a couple of leaf nodes like there is on there. Just going to cut underneath that leaf node. So just at the bottom here, the beginnings of some leaves, so that's the leaf node, so that's where the roots are going to develop from. So we can just pull those little bits out, and then there's too many leaves on this stem to propagate really, so you just want to take off the lower leaves like these. So we can obviously keep these and use them in our cooking, so we can harvest the basil and then we can propagate. So we can take off these leaves, and then essentially you want about 4 or 2 large leaves at the top and a couple of smaller ones is normally what you get. So like that. So that is one stem ready to go. A couple of larger leaves and a couple of smaller leaves, and then you've got some little leaves that will eventually develop into larger leaves. So grab your glass and just stick it in like that. So that's one. So we're going to fill this glass up with lots of stems. So I'll show you again with another long stem here. I found the leaf node just there, so I'm going to cut underneath. This is where the roots are going to come out. Basil's really easy to develop roots. Doesn't take long at all, as I'll show you in a second. So removing these leaves again. This is harvest, we can use for cooking. Use it for a nice bolognese or something. Take these lower leaves off, and then we're left with 4 leaves at the top, 2 large ones, 2 medium-sized ones, and then we've got these little tiny ones developing. They'll develop into nice large leaves when we start propagating them. So again, into the same glass, and you can just keep going. Okay, so that is most of the basil harvested. So like I say, I've got loads of basil here that I can use for cooking. So the great thing about this is that basically there's 2 options when you go to a supermarket. You can buy a basil that's cut and in a packet, or you can buy one of these plants. And you get more or less the same harvest, but you can take the harvest and you can propagate, and you can get a bunch of other plants, other basil plants. So a much more economical way of doing it. So with that, you can put it under a bright spot and it should grow on a little bit more, but eventually it will die because there's too many plants in here. If you wanted to, you can take these out individually and plant them up. The ones that are smaller that I've not taken, you can probably pull those out and then plant them up. With this, lots of cuttings in here. So all we need to do is just fill it up with water. You want to go quite high up the glass so that all the stems are in water. So then you want to stick that in a bright spot in your home. I stick it under grow lights because that seems to do very well with basil. But you can stick it next to a window, give it lots and lots of light, as much as you can, brightest spot in your house. Within only a week, 2 weeks maximum, you will start to see some roots like I've got over there. So I'm going to show you. I did these ones 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to show you the roots that I've developed on these. You can see through the glass, tons of roots on there, and also the basil's grown on as well. These leaves have got a little bit bigger, The smaller leaves that are on here, they've pushed out. So we can pull these out and we can see a really healthy basil cutting. Lots of fine roots, look really healthy. The leaves are bigger. So we can plant that up into soil and it will grow out to be its own plant. I'm only going to put one in one pot at a time. We're not going to crowd it out like they do in the supermarket. We're going to put it into one pot. That'll grow out into a nice big plant and then we can propagate that again and keep going. So I'm going to show you the rest of these roots in this glass. So again, lots of nice roots on there. So this has only been in a week and a half max probably. Lots of lovely roots. You could, if you wanted to, just leave them in water. They will survive, but I think they grow a little bit quicker and a little bit stronger in soil. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plant them up into soil. And you've even got these little ones that have developed roots. Just going to show you how to pot one of these up. So you just want a nice free draining soil mix. So I just got compost mixed with perlite. So just put a little bit of soil in the base. Get your basil cutting. This pot's probably a little bit too small actually. So I just had to get a bigger pot because that one was too small for that cutting. So you just want to fill your pot up a little bit. Grab your cutting, like that one. And then just get it in there and then just fill it around with soil. So the next stage, once you've put soil in your pot and your basil, you need to give it a good water. So these are water rooted cuttings, so they need to be kept moist pretty much all the time for the first few weeks as it acclimatizes to drier soil. So give it a good water and you want to put that in sun if you can, on a sunny windowsill, south facing if you can. Give it as much sunlight as possible and it will grow. Give it probably 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. It will grow quite large into a nice full basil plant. And then what you can do is you'll probably be able to cut above these 2 leaves here, these lower leaves, and you'll have a section that you can propagate. Leave this stem in the pot. That should regrow, so that will regrow into some more basil, and then you'll have another plant that you've taken a cutting from on the top. So you have two extra plants from that. So it's a really good technique just to have an endless supply of basil. In this video here, I tell you all about a plant nursery secret they don't want you to know so that you can get lots of plants for free. Make sure you click on the link. I'll see you there and thanks for watching.